Okay, headphones on. And that was synchronous, did you notice?
Yeah,
like we practiced. That was really, really well.
For sure. Hello, my name is Craig Spencer. I'm the Audiology Team Manager and Key Accounts Trainer for Widex in Canada. Today I'm joined by my longtime colleague and Senior Audiologist, Stephen Pugsley. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you for joining us. This is the first installment of a series of Widex podcasts, and today our topic is artificial intelligence. So I'm wondering, Stephen, if you can just first start off by describing artificial intelligence in general.
So, artificial intelligence, AI, is one of those terms that seems to be everywhere nowadays.
It is.
AI is used in a lot of different places, healthcare, manufacturing, finance, but do we really know what it is? AI is using a computer or a machine to do a task like a human being would do the task.
Got it. So it's able to kind of learn in some sense.
Correct.
Based on what type of thing? What type of information?
Yeah, based upon that user interaction, that data that is going into that computer system.
Got it. Can you give us some examples of that?
Well, one of the examples is going to be something that you might use daily, which is your GPS navigation system.
Okay.
So a GPS system relies on the user to tell where they want to go, sometimes what route they want to take. And it uses that data based upon input from other people using that same system to plot a route.
Very cool.
But it's adaptive, because if you make a wrong turn,
yes,
or if you have to go a different way
True.
because of traffic or something that's happening, it can act actually smart enough to reroute you
Very true.
into a different way.
Very cool.
Can you think of another one, Craig? Now that I've kind of given you that.
You know what comes
thought?
to mind for me is when I go onto my Netflix or my Amazon Prime, it's recommending all these shows and programs for me. And it seems to do a pretty good job at that, I guess.
That's AI.
Yeah.
Because what's happening is it knows your selections. It knows the selections that other people from around the world have made. And it knows what other selections they've made before and after that selection that you made.
Based on what I've watched, it can almost predict what I'm going to like.
Correct. You've got it.
Cool. I've gotten this sense that artificial intelligence has been used in the hearing aid industry in different ways. I'm wondering if you can talk about ways in which different manufacturers have utilized this technology.
So AI has been used in the development of hearing aids for many years. So the greatest example is a classification system that most modern hearing aids have now, where the hearing aid is trying to figure out where is the wearer. Once it figures out where is the wearer, it then adjusts the parameters based upon that. And that's an AI system.
Okay.
That AI system was developed in the lab.
Got it.
So the AI system was trained, it was taught by having loads and loads of data put inside of it to identify where the hearing aid is. And once it was properly trained, it was put into the hearing aids.
Right, so this is, off the top of my head, thinking about those automatic environmental steering features or characteristics that a lot of hearing aids have on the market today.
Like, our Moment 440s have 11 different sound classes.
True.
11 different environments inside of them.
Got it. Now, Widex has utilized this AI technology in a bit of a different way. I wonder if you can talk about how Widex is utilizing AI.
So back in 2018, when we launched Evoke, we took AI out of the lab and put AI in the hands of the hearing aid wearer. So what the hearing aid wearer has is an AI computer in their app itself. And that app, of course, is connected to the hearing aids via Bluetooth and connected to the cloud.
Smartphone.
To their smartphone, you've got it. And so SoundSense Learn, when it was first released, had a simple A/B comparison system where if the hearing aid wasn't meeting the wearer's needs, they could go into the app and adjust the equalizer. So the AI system was tied to the equalizer, tied to the client giving some answers to A/B comparisons and choosing what they liked and what they didn't like. And those adjustments could then be permanently saved, or they could just be used one time inside of the hearing aid. Now, do you know why sometimes hearing aids don't meet their clients' needs?
Yeah, because those automatic systems that a lot of hearing aids have are based on assumptions of how a user may want to hear in a given listening situation.
You've got it.
And sometimes those assumptions aren't quite right.
Yeah, because how can we get into the head of a hearing aid wearer?
Right.
That hearing aid wearer, we know for the most part what they want, but sometimes we really don't know what they want to listen to.
The hearing aid can't read the user's mind.
Correct.
Has this MySound technology evolved since it first became available?
So in Evoke, we had SoundSense Learn, basically version 1. Mm-hmm. When we launched Moment, we had SoundSense Learn version 2, even though we didn't put the version 2 in the brackets.
Right.
And so what Widex was able to do is to look at the anonymous usage data of SoundSense Learn and Evoke. That anonymous data goes up into the Widex cloud. Okay. And Widex was able to look at that data and dive into it and see where people were using SoundSense Learn and what the end-up settings of the equalizer were.
Sure.
And we use that to make SoundSense Learn in Moment faster and smarter. The app interface was designed so that it was even easier to use than it was before. And we kept on monitoring what was happening with this anonymous data.
So in the past where the user had to provide these A and B inputs, now there's some recommended choices that appear?
Correct. And that was MySound version 1 in 2021.
Right.
So when Widex has been developing our hearing aids, we want to make the use of hearing aids and the use of anything else, whether it's an app or an accessory, as easy as possible, as effortless as possible.
Of course.
And so what MySound did was to make the AI system easier to use. We call it MySound, but within MySound, there are now 2 parallel AI systems. One of them is called Made For You, and the other one is Create Your Own.
Made For You is like the Netflix.
You've got it. So what's happening is the AI system looks at what you tell the app in terms of where you are, what you want to hear, so what change in your listening intent you want to have.
Yeah.
And it looks at what other hearing aid wearers have done around the world in similar circumstances. There are predictable patterns in there.
Sure.
And so we take those first 2 choices and we put them in as Made For You.
Sure.
And for many people, that's the quick, that's the easy, that's the 3 to 4 second boost that they need in order to get to hear what they want to hear. The Create For You is, in some ways, you can think of it as the latest generation of the classic SoundSense Learn, where there is still that A/B comparison process. It's faster and it's smarter. And the client can go through that more personalized method to fine-tune their sound in a way that the Made For You might not achieve.
Now, what is actually happening in the hearing aid as they provide input to the app?
So the hearing aid is actually generating new sound profiles.
Got it.
So there's a recommendation 1 or a recommendation 2 in the Made For You. And in the Create For You, there's an A and a B choice. And the wearer listens to those 2 choices and then makes those decisions.
And is it gain? Is it compression? What's actually changing in the sound of the hearing aid?
Yeah, so in the first version in the initial versions of SoundSense Learn and Evoke, SoundSense Learn and Moment, which then morphed into MySound, we were changing gain. So all of the work that the clinician did, that wasn't changed. We were going to be turning up the bass, the mids, and the trebles, or turning them down.
So not just gain overall across all frequencies.
Correct. It's a 3-channel equalizer that we're using. And so they can adjust bass, mids, or trebles with the AI system.
Sure.
MySound 2.0 in 2022 added a new parameter. It added compression to the AI system. Different compression preferences, what we're looking at is fast-acting compression versus slow-acting compression. We know in general what the auditory system likes from a compression system perspective. But we also know that there's an individual factor in the auditory system.
Of course.
And that's what they're accessing with the MySound 2.0. So you've got gain changes and you've got compression speed changes now.
Okay. Cool. So really, it's obvious to see the benefits to the patient in this situation, but it benefits the clinician too, doesn't it?
It does. Hearing aid wearers will come into an office and they'll report that there are circumstances where the hearing aid wasn't meeting their need in a particular spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now, these appointments, as we know, can be days or weeks after
Absolutely.
that event happened. So what the hearing aid wearer has to do is to respond to the clinician's questions.
Mm-hmm.
They have to remember where they were,
Yeah.
what the sound was like,
And articulate that. Yeah.
in a way that the clinician can understand. So what you sometimes get into is adjusting the hearing aid in clinic when the circumstance, when the situation happened in the real world. And so the patient will sometimes come back and forth
Yes.
into the clinic multiple
We
times.
all know those situations for sure.
And so what SoundSense Learn and MySound does is that it allows the hearing aid wearer some power. It allows the hearing aid wearer some control over how the hearing aid is sounding.
Very cool.
Now the clinician can see what the patient is actually adjusting using GPS,
Awesome.
the real life insights.
Very cool.
They can see what the patient's actually doing.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you for that, Stephen. I think you've given us some really important and useful information today. And I'd like to thank our viewers for joining us on this inaugural podcast in a series. And we look forward to your participation, or attendance, I should say, at a future Widex podcast.